नमस्ते आदाब निसंबूला वेलकम टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ आईना। मैं वीना भटनागर आपके साथ हो गई हूँ और आज आईना में हमारे मेहमान हैं नेशनल फायर अथॉरिटी के सीईओ जनाब जॉन ओकोना साहब आज हमारे मेहमान हैं और साथ में रितेश कुमार जो कि मीडिया असिस्टेंट है NFA के नेशनल फायर अथॉरिटी के। तो रितेश जी नमस्ते, आपका स्वागत है।
नमस्ते वीना जी
एंड वेलकम टू द आईना शो मिस्टर ओकोना।
नमस्ते वीना जी।
बोला आपको भी। और याद रहे श्रोताओं, आज आप सवाल भी कर सकते हैं 32200902 या 32200903 पर आप हमें कॉल भी कर सकते हैं। लेकिन सबसे पहले मिस्टर खोना, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, दे हैव बीन 95 केसेस लास्ट ईयर एंड 83 structural fires so far this year. So that's quite a large number. And what are the major causes of fire this year?
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, I would like to say namaste to all the listeners in the program. Apologize, we had some difficulty in getting down, but we thank FBC for always giving us this opportunity to advocate the importance of fire safety. Yeah, and last year we had 95 deaths, 95 structural fires. As a result of the 95 structural fires, we had 12 deaths. And out of the 12 deaths, we had 7 children who died as a result of the fire. In terms of this year, so far, we've had 84 fires. We've had a few again after the end of September.
Yes.
And then, as a result of the of these 85 structural fires, we've had 6 fire deaths. I think in terms of the trends, when you look at the trends, the positive sign is that this year we haven't had any children affected as a result of the outcome of the fire. All the fire deaths this year have been adults, but all have been sort of intentionally caused kind of death.
Actually, before I ask you what are the major causes of the fire, I think we've got a call on the line. Hello, नमस्ते जी, आपका स्वागत है। आप अपने सवाल को हिंदी में या अंग्रेजी में भी कर सकते हैं। हेलो जी, आईना में आपका स्वागत है। ओके, शायद चले गए हैं। और यस मिस्टर कोना, व्हाट आर द मेजर कॉजेज ऑफ द फायर दिस ईयर?
Yeah, this year the trends are a bit different from last year. Last year most of the fires, when we combine the causes, can be attributed to carelessness and negligence. We didn't put the candles properly. We didn't, while we cooking, left the cooking unattended, candle smoke. But this year the trend has changed a bit. There's a lot more. In the total 84, more than 50% is arson or intentionally caused fires.
Oh, I see.
And then there you have electrical faults. Then you have the general causes.
Well, talking about now that you have mentioned electrical faults, I mean, do you think this is an indication of the standards of electrical works in our country? I mean, are our electricians failing in quality, or people are not using the right?
Majority of the electrical cases are just we've overloaded the power boards. And sometimes in some cases, in some other cases, instead before we go home at night, or for example, in restaurants, we've left some of the equipments on and they get heated, and there's a few that's caused by equipment, but I think it is a balance.
So majorly, I mean, it's this, not the wirings.
Yeah. Sometimes if you in businesses and everything, it's usually not the wirings, but in the property fires at home,
yes,
it could be the wirings, because most of our property fires are in what you call settlements and everything, where I think people have chosen not to use
the qualified electricians,
licensed electrician,
yes,
and got someone who knows something and
done in cheaper options.
Cheaper options, yeah.
But what do you advise them?
Oh no, advice. We work closely with the Fiji Electricity Authority, and our advice is it's always good to get the services of a licensed electrical contractor.
यस, थैंक यू सो मच मिस्टर खोना। और हमारे साथ कॉलर है लाइन पर। हेलो, नमस्कार जी।
वीना जी नमस्कार, मैं कुशल सिंह 8 माइल से।
हाँ कुशल जी,
गुड आफ्टरनून टू बोथ द जेंटलमैन देयर।
Namaste.
I would only like to suggest, I have done this before through newspaper and another talk big show in the radio. if these fire drills could be displayed on the FBC TV so that people learn what to do when there is a fire.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Mr. Kona?
We've had discussions with the FBC management last week, and then we're hoping to have some programs which deals with those kind of fire safety, where we communicate awareness, or what you can do to make sure that you prevent fires occurring from your homes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kona. हेलो नमस्कार जी, आपका स्वागत है आईना में. हेलो जी, आपके पास भी कोई सवाल है? नहीं चलेगी लाइन पर, कोई बात नहीं है. यू कैन कॉल अगेन 3220-902 या 3220-903 पर आप रिंग कर सकते हैं. और लाइक यू सेड दैट यू वर्क विद Fiji FEA. So how closely does National Fire Authority work with?
Oh, we work very closely. We have a MOU,
Okay.
And in terms of property fires and investigation, we work closely with them. We also work closely with them in trying to put together standards that will of equipment coming in to try and prevent fires. So we have a MOU, and we.
थैंक यू मिस्टर खोना. और एक और कॉलर मौका देते हैं, एक और कॉलर को. हेलो नमस्कार जी.
Hello, namaskar.
जी,
Good
namaste.
afternoon to all of you there.
गुड आफ्टरनून.
My name is Robin. I'm calling from Lombati. I've got one recommendation and a question too. First, the recommendation. I think the adults in the house, I think they've got to change their mindsets as far as safety is concerned. I'll give you one good example. Like myself, I'm the last person who goes to sleep at night every night. I'm the last one who goes to sleep. And what I do is I do a quick check of all my grills, all the power points all are off, no unnecessary lights are on, my gas tanks, everything's properly closed and all that if I go to sleep. I do a check like that before I go to sleep. That's a simple thing I do every night. That's a recommendation I've got. Number two, the question, diverting it towards bus fires. I think there's a requirement by LTA for buses to have this emergency exit where it says, in case of emergency, push to open. I've seen a lot of buses have this, but all the TV footage that I've seen regarding bus fires, not in one single case, this facility has been used. All of them, the passengers, they jump through the windows, hurt themselves and all. Now, there is a problem there. Either the public are not being made aware of it, or that sign, push to open, is just a gimmick by the bus operators to have the bus on the road. Now, the question is, has NFA got a hand in getting these buses passed onto the roads? That's a question. And the other question is, a lot of buses I've seen, they've got these fire extinguishers. Now, they are not installed for example, I've seen one right in front of the engine, one I've seen underneath the bus driver's seat, the other one is on the bus driver's seat, beside the bus driver's seat, So they are not installed in the same place. They're installed, as and when they feel like installing. So this is a question. So my question is, has got NFA got a hand in getting these buses passed as far as fire safety is concerned? That's my question.
Thank you रवीन जी. और बस एक ब्रेक के बाद मिस्टर ओकोनो will answer the question. और आज नेशनल फायर अथॉरिटी हमारे साथ है. सीईओ जनाब जॉन ओकोना साहब हमारे साथ है और रितेश जी भी हमारे साथ है. और द प्रीवियस कॉलर वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट बस फायर्स. मिस्टर ओकोना.
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Ravin of Lombati. I think that's a very important point, that we all need to start taking fire safety seriously and change our attitude. And like he said, it's good to practice so those safe in the night. And also, we suggest that, especially if you live in house which has grills, if you can have some drills at night, wake up your children, and so that they know how to get out of the house safely in case there's a fire, especially at night. In terms of the bus transport, LTA is the has the responsibility of ensuring conducting checks on buses. But recently we've been working with them on a joint operation. And we usually, when we go in the bus, we usually check the fire extinguishers. We'll look at the cleanliness of the bus and so forth. And at times, we've often, as part of our awareness, we've asked the members of the community, do you know if there's a fire? How will you? And I agree with Ravin, because there are exit signs. But we, from talking to the members of the community, they are really not aware of how to push these exit doors. So we're working with LT, closely with the LT, to ensure that there's a process whereby when you sit in the bus, that there's some kind of awareness being made to know how to push the buses out.
Actually, it's the responsibility of LTA to check if the buses are properly equipped with the proper standards of fire extinguishers and the positioning, the emergency exits. Is their duty? What about National Fire Authority?
At the moment,
You are working.
the legislation empowers the Land Transport Authority, but because we all have a responsibility to ensure the safety of members of the community traveling in the bus, we are working closely with LTA to identify those kind of where to put the fire extinguisher and what size of fire extinguisher is suitable.
Do you think the buses that burnt in the recent months, they had proper extinguishers, fire extinguishers?
Yeah, some of the buses had fire extinguishers, but I think because of the magnitude or the quick spread of the fire and sometimes panic caused those.
Yes, talking about fire extinguishers, actually, how many people know how to use the fire extinguishers? Actually, I think that's a very important question.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are fire extinguishers installed so many places. But do you think everybody knows how to use it? And what do you do to create awareness on that?
Yeah, we at the moment, in terms of the business community and so forth, we are conducting our annual inspections, fire safety inspections. And part of that inspections is just to ask preliminary questions to the people working, whether they know how to use the extinguisher and so forth. If they don't, no one in the thing knows how to use it, then we usually provide.
Have you found out? I mean, what does your survey say? That people really do know how to use it?
Yeah, majority of the people are familiar.
They are familiar.
They are familiar with the use of fire extinguisher. It's I think, in terms of a fire, it's mainly the panic. When it happens suddenly to you, you forget where the fire extinguisher is and those kind of things happening. But in terms of awareness, majority of and in the papers we've been running a series on how to use fire extinguisher safely.
रितेश जी, आप क्या आप समझते हैं कि घरों में भी ये जो हाउस होल्ड्स होते हैं, किचन में भी एक एटलीस्ट एक फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर का होना ज़रूरी है? क्योंकि आज देखा जाए तो घरों में शायद ऐसा नहीं है ना. People don't.
जी हाँ, ये काफ़ी अच्छा विषय है. काफ़ी ज़रूरी है कि घरों में भी एक फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर हो, ताकि वो भी इस को इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं अपने सुरक्षा के लिए. अगर घर में इस साइड आग उत्पन्न हो जाए तो वो उसको लेकर आग को बुझा सकते हैं. तो हम ये कह सकते हैं कि ज़्यादातर हम देखते हैं कि इमारतें ताकि हमारे जो बिजनेसेस में जो ये एक्सटिंग्विशर है, बट अगर घरों में भी या एक्सटिंग्विशर बैठाया जाए तो ये काफ़ी अच्छा होगा घरों में.
Thank you so much, Ritesh ji. And Mr. Kona, actually, I believe there have been a large number of bush, rubbish, cane, grass, and forest fires around the country as well. Any stats for this?
Yeah, year to date, this year has been the worst year in terms of grass fires. Until September, we've responded to more than 700 grass fires.
Really?
Grass and bush fires.
Okay.
And I think it's mainly attributed to the dry season, dry and windy season that we've experienced lately. And then people have burned rubbish or bush, and it's got out of control.
So what are the precautionary measures they should have taken or should be taken?
Yeah, at the moment our advice, because of the current climate we're going through, we are just advising members of the community to refrain from burning, starting grass fires or something, because you never know when it can get out of control. But if you're burning your rubbish, make sure that you look after it. And when you're about to leave the site, maybe take a bucket of water and pour over it to make sure that the rubbish has completely been burnt.
Any other techniques? I mean, especially when they put the cane fires?
Oh, that's a big issue, because it's we're working with police and even the military in the West to try and minimize an FSC in terms of. But they have techniques. They usually clear it out and then they burn. They clear out and then they burn it. But at the same time, if it's a windy day, any ember that flies can start setting fires to the other farms and nearby properties.
And containing these fires, meaning bush fires, is more challenging than containing property fires?
Our main priority is putting out property fires.
fires,
But
yes.
the good thing is that we haven't had big fires like we see in Australia, in Sydney and New South Wales in terms of big bush and grass fires. Our worry is that if we don't take this bush and rubbish fire seriously, and in terms of the trends, before we saw the bushfires happening outside towns, but it's moving closer to towns, and that's the worry, and that's why the advice that we are putting out, just for people to refrain while this dry and humid season.
So that is all you can talk about on the major precautionary measures, safety measures. Any other safety measures?
Yeah, we in terms of in the West, we've totally changed the strategy in terms of our awareness program. And now we're going to farmers and talking to them about safety. We're going door to door and talking to everyone about the importance of not starting this kind of bush and grass fires. And we're even working with police to try and identify, if those fires were intentionally started.
So you think there's a need to create more awareness?
Yeah.
And I believe we hear that the fire safety awareness is now being done in churches.
Oh, yeah.
Can you explain on that approach? That is interesting, actually.
Yeah, we had a joint operations with the Water Authority to create awareness on how to save water in terms of water bills. And also I used to talk, I myself was involved in the program in the Central Division.
Okay.
So we went to all religions. We even attended some sub-organized functions.
Okay, that is nice.
And to me, that was very effective.
Yes.
Because in churches, you have all the families, and we can talk to them.
So there's another approach to creating awareness.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Connor. And we take another break. ब्रेक के बाद कुछ और कॉलर्स का भी मौका देंगे. वेलकम बैक टू आईना. और याद रहे श्रोताओं, आज मिस्टर जॉन ओखुन हमारे साथ है, नेशनल फायर अथॉरिटी के सीईओ, और रितेश जी भी हमारे साथ है. एक और कॉलर को मौका देते हैं. हेलो, नमस्कार जी, आपका स्वागत है.
हाँ जी, मिस्टर अकोना से हम एक रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं
जी
कि आग बुताने का सबसे अच्छा रास्ता है फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर, और वो देश में बहुत महंगा है.
ओके.
क्यों नहीं कोई ऐसा रास्ता निकाले कि फायर अथॉरिटी खुद फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर बेचे और लोगों को उसी समय छोटा सा ट्रेनिंग मिल जाए और फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर सस्ता से सस्ता हो, ताकि हर गरीब लोग भी उसे खरीद सके. जैसे फ्रिज वगैरह खरीदते हैं डॉलर डिपॉजिट करके, ऐसा कोई रास्ता निकाले, हर घर में फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर हो, खास करके किचन में छोटा से छोटा लड़का लड़की भी उसे बुझा सके यूज करके.
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful suggestion, Mr. O'Connor. Did you understand what he was saying?
Yeah, I think in terms of making fire extinguishers more readily available.
Yes.
And cheaper.
Yes,
so
and cheaper. Yes.
And I think he talked about, selling it like
yes.
costs.
And a little training with it, along with it. Yes.
I think that's a very good suggestion. And one of the reasons we are currently reviewing our act is to try and bring about standards to these types of fire extinguishers, so that we know that the extinguishers are reliable and so forth. And I think once we have set that standard, then we can work with these big organizations to try and sell extinguishers to members of the community.
Yes.
And we've always, in terms of fire safety equipment, we've always made submissions to government if they can be brought in tax-free, so it can be cheaper and readily available to members of the community.
Yes, now that you have spoken of the Act, Mr. O'Connor, actually, NFA is currently reviewing the National Fire Services Act. So I'd like you to throw some more light on it, shed some more light on it.
Yeah, at the moment, in terms of the role that we are currently playing, the current Act focuses more on firefighting, but we are changing our role. Currently, we are providing ambulance services. We are attending to road accident rescues. In case of flood and disasters, we've been deployed to. We also attend to chemical and high-rise building rescues and so forth. But the current legislation only focuses on fire, and more importantly, it focuses on preventative or response to fires. So we want to change the Act and make sure all these new functions are covered. And on top of that, we want the legislation to focus more on proactive things you can do to prevent fires, and putting responsibilities and accountabilities to those who have to take action to make sure that. The second thing is, if we strictly follow this current Act, I'm only required to provide, NFA is only required to provide fire services within the boundary.
Yes.
So if you go outside the boundary, legally at the moment, we're not supposed to be responding, but we are responding at the moment. So we just want to change the law to align ourselves to government's intention for NFA. We need to start moving our services to being closer to members of the community.
Going back to the previous caller's suggestion, I think, what do you think of it? I mean, in future, how soon will you be able to accommodate those fire extinguishers?
I think we plan to
at a cheaper rate.
Hopefully finalize all this review,
Yes.
and then have consultations once we have a draft, and then maybe submit to cabinet.
How long will all these take?
In terms of the review, we're hoping to finalize before the end of the year.
End of the year?
And then consultation in those folks before we come up with a draft. And hopefully sometimes next year we will be able to present it to government.
Yeah, like you mentioned that legally, you are operating within limits, but you don't go beyond. So does NFA have the capacity to attend to all the fire calls around the country?
At the moment, wherever our stations are, I think we will be able to respond to most of the calls. The only difficulty is that, and that's why I usually come up, because most of our stations, we only have 1 or 2 fire trucks. And that's one difficulty we face in terms of grass or bush fires.
Okay, Mr. O'Connor, another call on the line. Hello, नमस्कार.
नमस्कार
जी नमस्कार जी.
जयेश बात करता हूँ.
जी जयेश भाई, क्या सवाल है?
अच्छा, मुझे ये पूछना है कि ये लोग जो दुकान में और कोई भी ऐसे प्रॉपर्टी में वो लोग चेक करते हैं और फिर बाद में फायर एग्जिट प्लान वहाँ पे लगाया हुआ रहता है, तो ऐसी कोई जगह है जहाँ पे उन लोग का फायर एग्जिट प्लान तो है, लेकिन वहाँ उसमें फायर एग्जिट है ही नहीं वो बिल्डिंग में. तो मैं वो पूछना चाहता हूँ कि वो लोग कैसे करके वहाँ पे अप्रूवल मिला उन लोगों को. क्योंकि जो ऑफिसर वहाँ पे गया था, मैं इन लोगों को बताता हूँ कि वो लोग वापस जाके चेक करो, और अगर उसमें पाया जाए है कि उसमें फायर एग्जिट नहीं है, तो जो ऑफिसर वो चेक करने के लिए गए थे उसको काम पे से निकाल देना चाहिए. दूसरी बात मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ कि ऐसे अगर मान लो 4 स्टोरी 5 स्टोरी बिल्डिंग रहे और उसमें ऐसे रेसिडेंस है जो जिसमें ऐसे फ्लैट्स है, उसमें लिफ्ट है वो बंद कर दिया गया है, और वहाँ पे जो लोग रहते हैं उन लोग को काफ़ी दिक्कत होती है कि 4th फ्लोर या 5th फ्लोर पे वो लोग को स्टेप्स से जाना पड़ता है, तो उन लोगों को दिक्कत होती है. तो मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि ये लीगल है, ये लिफ्ट बंद कर दिया है वो लीगल है या इलीगल है?
ओके, आपके पहला सवाल क्या था? पहला सवाल, द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, कि
ऐसे कितनी ऐसी प्रॉपर्टी है यहाँ पे टाउन में ही, सुबह टाउन में है, और उसमें फायर एग्जिट है या नहीं?
There are no fire exits in so many properties in town, in buildings.
Yes. In terms of the requirements, they are different requirements for different sizes of buildings.
Yes.
In most buildings, the requirements they must have
So if the officer in charge, when he goes and checks out the or checks out the buildings, and if he doesn't do his job right, what happens?
Yeah, usually we have a guideline in terms of what are the requirements and so forth, and to assist the officer going to check, and based on the requirements of the building code, so the officer goes and checks, and if there's no one non-compliant, then he usually discusses and gives a notice to the.
अच्छा जी, जयेश भाई said well, जो ऑफिसर्स होते हैं वो जाकर चेक करते हैं और उनका ये काम
लेकिन
होता
जब जैसे कि वो है कि दुकानें हैं,
शॉप्स,
वैसी बिल्डिंग में शॉप्स में भी ऐसे है, तो फिर कैसे करके उन लोग का किस तरह का क्राइटेरिया है वही समझ में नहीं आता
You mean to say that there are no fire exits or emergency exits in the shops?
या वही मैं कहना चाहता हूँ.
Small shops.
Small shops, बड़े दुकान, छोटे दुकान,
बड़ी दुकान,
big shops.
Big shops they should have, but the
They should
requirements, the requirements are different.
So where can they report these cases if they have seen some things happening?
Well, you can report directly to me.
Okay.
My number is 999 990 675.
ठीक है, 99900675 पर आप कॉल करके अगर कुछ ऐसी बातों को आप जानते हैं, मालूमात है जिससे लोगों की मदद हो सके, जयेश भाई, तो आप कॉल कर सकते हैं.
लेकिन मैं एक बात और भी कहना चाहता हूं कि यहाँ पे अगर हम लोग ये कॉल करेंगे, कंप्लेन करेंगे, लेकिन फिर बाद में उसके लिए है कि ठोस रूप से वो काम होना चाहिए. फिर ऐसे नहीं कि हम लोग जस्ट कंप्लेन कर दिया और फिर बाद में कंप्लेन ले लिया और वो लोग वैसे ही बैठे रहे. जी, वो चीज है.
Yeah, no, when I get, if they give me examples, I myself will go and visit and do the
ठीक है, तो he will himself visit करेंगे और फिर आपको बताएंगे. Thank you so much. In fact, the other question which he said was that there are 4 or 5 story buildings and there are lifts, but they are shut down. They are not used. So in those cases, I mean, if there is a fire somewhere, I mean,
yeah, usually in the case of a fire, you're not allowed to use the lift anyway.
Also you are allowed to use the stairs.
You're not allowed to use the lift, so you have to use the stairs.
Stairs.
But in the normal times,
yes,
I'm not sure about the lifts being shut down.
Yes.
But when there's a fire.
So where can they complain about that? I mean, if the...
I'm really not sure. Maybe to the tenant of the property.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Let's take another break. Aaina me. आईना में हम एक बार फिर से याद रहे, आईना में एक बार फिर से हम आपका स्वागत करते हैं और जोन ओकोना साहब आज हमारे मेहमान हैं. रितेश जी भी हमारे साथ है. जस्ट अनदर क्वेश्चन मिस्टर ओकोना, आफ्टर द लॉ इज इन्फोर्स्ड, आई मीन people will have to get a permit from the National Fire Authority to light a fire?
At the moment, that's not. That's just something we're looking at, one of the options.
Oh, I see.
It's not one of the requirements, but it'll be based on public submission and so forth.
Okay, so it's public submissions. You'll be
we'll be getting. If there's a suggestion, then we will look at what the requirements and compare to overseas and see whether there's any need for such a.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. And Diwali just around the corner. I have a few questions on that, but before that, we take a few more callers. Hello, Namaskar ji.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Can I talk to Mr. Who am I talking to?
Mr. John O'Connor. Yes, your question, please. Your name and your address first.
Sir, I would like you to. I am advising you to inspect all the fire hydrants around Naulu subdivision. People are putting rubbish on top of the fire hydrant. Thank you.
Naulu subdivision, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll arrange for that.
My house, in fact, people are putting. I have been trying to tell those gangs, but they are not stopping.
जी, थैंक यू. भैया आपका नाम क्या है भाई साहब?
My name is already in your computer. Thank you.
जी नहीं, your name doesn't come on my computer. Only your
I'll
number.
be very, very grateful if you...
Thank you, Mr. X. Thank you so much. हेलो नमस्कार जी, आपका स्वागत है.
नमस्कार. मैं मिस्टर ओकोना से कुछ डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ. In course of fires, when the damage is done and the compensation part, I have got a concept that will can compensate that property, not fully, but partly or half or three-quarter or what percentage. I have got a concept that Fiji can use, provided that I have to have an agreement on that concept, so I can be beneficiary of some percent of that, and I can put forward to Fiji a concept that can be used in cause of fires to compensate. No, just like the compensation part, where the fire has occurred and the thing has destroyed and things like that, and I can make sure that maybe the part of that property's value, like 2/3 or 1/3 or half of the value, can be compensated by that concept. If you like to have a meeting with me, my number is there. My name is Nirmal. Thank you, sir.
Nirmal, your last 4 digits 8967.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nirmal Sahab. Mr. O'Connor, you will certainly get some suggestions and advice from this guy.
Yeah, at the moment, the main compensation that owners receive if they insure their property.
Yes.
So the insurance usually.
But if he has a plan, it will be just one.
We'll have a check with the plan.
Yes, thank you. And Mr. O'Connor, with Diwali to be celebrated this Sunday, I mean, what's National Fire Authority's advice to the members of the community?
Yeah, it's we want everybody to have a happy and fire-free Diwali, and we at NFA usually set a target that we will work really hard and do a lot of community awareness during this and visit the relevant settlements and everything, so that we always target for a fire-free Diwali day. And in the last few years, we've been quite successful. But and we thank the members of the community for their support. However, after the Diwali, it was good. We have no fire. But the day after, then we usually have fires. So there'll be a lot of cooking. There'll be a lot of candles. There'll be a lot of lights.
Yes.
We'll be using a lot of electrical decorations.
Yes.
That means the risk of fire occurring in our properties while we're celebrating is higher. That means our taking care. We need to, in terms of vigilance, we need to be more vigilant than a normal day because of these normal fire sources. We must never leave any cooking unattended. We must ensure that we place candles and deers in safe places, not near to curtains and everything. And more importantly, we need to supervise our kids when they're playing with these and like firecrackers and so forth. Last year, although it was after Diwali, there was a property fire in Dombati.
Actually, last year Diwali was fire-free, right?
Yeah, Diwali was fire-free.
After Diwali, there was
after
incident. Yes.
After Diwali, there was a few, and one of these were
firecrackers.
The kids were playing on the main road, playing with firecrackers, and one of the firecrackers flew and landed on the porch of one of the property. Just so happened that they had a couch there, and a couch set
fire, and then after that,
because it was a wooden house and partly
the whole property burned.
Yeah, the whole property burned down. So those are the things we are just advising members of the community because of this increased possible fire sources around us. We need to be more vigilant and take more extra care.
Yeah, but these firecrackers, actually, I mean, Ritesh ji, kahin or firecrackers, they are, using the firecrackers somewhere else, and then it flies and lands somewhere else. कहीं और जाकर गिरता है. And then, I mean, how can we prevent this happening?
Yeah, the advice we at NFA usually give is that if you bought firecrackers for your children, please supervise them and ensure they don't direct it in house or direct it in an open space so that it lands and or even it doesn't cause any property, any fires or anything.
Well, you, Mr. O'Connor, you very well know that in Suva or like or anywhere you go, the houses are so, I mean, close by. I mean, and you simply can't find an open space to go in. But I think, everybody should be more.
Yeah, just be more careful. I think the best thing is to shoot it up in the air and not at any other property.
And I think there should be a time limit. That only up till this time, so that actually, suppose people are playing with firecrackers, and I am like awake till such a time, right? Yeah. I'm awake till midnight or till 1 a.m. and I can keep an eye on my property, on my things. Yeah, but after that, when you are asleep and somebody else is just cracking away the firecrackers. And it might land at somebody else's.
Yeah, the Mineral Resource Department usually sets, and I think there's time limits that they've allowed for us to be able to.
Should be. So that people are aware of the time limits.
Yes. To ensure safety.
Yes, to ensure safety. And actually, what are some of the precautions people need to be aware of during this Diwali? Any other precautionary measures?
Like for example, when you finish celebrating in the afternoon, before you go to bed, like the gentleman from Lombati had highlighted, you need to move around, inspect, and make sure that all have been switched off. In terms of your electrical power board, make sure it's not really loaded.
Quite often, I've seen, we have noticed that people leave the flicking lights on. It flicks out. Okay, how safe is how safe are flicking lights actually?
I think they are quite safe because in last year I've been with NFA. There's no, in terms of Diwali celebrations, we have not had any fire that's been caused by flickering lights and so forth. But I think if they are correctly installed and there's a power board, good power board and things, then the risk is quite low.
Yeah, sometimes the whole house is covered with flickering lights and it rains when it rains. Does it affect when it rains?
Yeah, I think that these lights are quite safe. In terms of this. Yeah, it's only the other things like diyas and everything which are quite candles.
Okay. So it's time to take another break और इसके बाद में ब्रेक के बाद में एक लास्ट सेगमेंट में हम आपका स्वागत करेंगे. आपके पास अगर कोई चंद सवाल हो तो ज़रूर आप हमसे बातें कर सकते हैं. वेलकम बैक टू आईना. ये आईना का अंतिम पड़ाव है. श्रोता, हमने देर से शुरू किया था तो थोड़ी देर से आज प्रोग्राम का खात्मा भी करते हैं. एंड मिस्टर ओकोनर इज विद अस, नेशनल फायर अथॉरिटी के सीईओ, और रितेश जी हमारे साथ है. हाउ ऑफन डू यू गेट फॉल्स अलार्म्स?
This year compared to last year, we've there's an improvement in the calls received. There's not much as compared to last year, but we still now and again receive false alarms. But more importantly, our controllers have now become a bit more, what can I say, inquisitive about asking for details, and then in the end we can tell whether it's a false alarm.
What are the costs involved if you run, on a false alarm?
Well, it's quite costly to NFA. For example, we had earlier in the year we had a call at around about 5 o'clock in the afternoon that there was a fire somewhere in Cunningham, and this was during the peak traffic. Apart from the cost, the risks, and because people were going home, all the roads were quite busy in terms of going down to that traveling. So what we did to allow us to get quicker, we travel on the other side of the oncoming traffic, and because of the public, the risk too are there for safety of the members of the community. So we really, in terms of the cost, it's something that NFA has to absorb, but the safety to other members and road travelers is the biggest concern when we're responding to false calls.
Are these false alarms intentional? People mean to do it, or they are just confused with your numbers?
Yeah, no, sometimes it's just kids playing with the phone and so forth. So I think it's good to lock the phones or something.
Thank you. And do you think there are some confusions with the numbers, emergency numbers? What are exactly the emergency numbers? Currently, it's 911.
Yeah, currently the main emergency number is 911.
Yes, that goes to the police.
Yeah, that goes to, if you're calling from a mobile or something, I think it goes to the police. But if you're calling from a landline, it goes to telecom, and then telecom redirects it.
To where?
To the
National Fire Authority or the police?
Or the police, or whichever call is requested. So, for example, if there's a call on, if you ring from your landline, and you call 911, you'll go to TFL, and then you'll say, I want the fire department. Then they'll direct you to the fire department. We had earlier this year, because this was one of the roadblocks to our efficient response. So we had requested Telecommunication Authority of Fiji if they can allow us to do trial. So we are doing trial on a 910 number.
Or you got another number, 910?
Yeah, at the moment we are trialing it.
Yes.
So if
does it work?
It should work. If you call from your mobile or whatever number, it should go direct to the National Fire Authority.
So 910 is more safer and more quicker, faster?
Depending on the call you want to make.
Yes.
If you want the National Fire Authority.
Yes, of course.
And then that's you can try 911 once, and if it's not available, then you can dial 910.
National Fire Authority का ये नंबर है. पहले 911 आप ट्राई कर सकते हैं. अगर if you can't get through, then please dial 910. ये बहुत ज़रूरी है. People should be having this number in their diaries. Yes, 910 and 911. Actually, we almost there. Target time to reach the destination. What is your target time to reach the?
In terms of international benchmark, which we are working towards, your firefighting can only be effective if you reach the site below 10 minutes.
Below 10 minutes.
If then you can aggressively fight the fire. But if it's beyond the 10 minutes, then you have to change strategy in terms of firefighting, and it might not be trying to control the fire, but trying to prevent it from spreading. And this standard also helps us to set our strategic plans. So when we're moving around, when we know we cannot get there in 10 minutes, it tells us we have to look at another arrangement. During peak period or something, we usually relocate trucks so that they can reach the other side of the road or town within that 9 minutes. And in other terms of development, for example, we had a fire in QBS. We took 1 hour to reach QBS. So that firefighting will never be effective. So we're now thinking of starting a fire station in Corvo. So those standards help us in terms of our development and growth.
Thank you, Mr. Khona. रितेश जी, समय तो होने वाला है और जबकि दिवाली करीब है, आपकी तरफ से कोई सुझाव, सलाह, मशवरा?
जी हाँ विनय जी, वही हम लोगों से यही सलाह देना चाहते हैं कि वो इस दीपावली के समय हर समय ध्यान रखिए कि वो अपन घर में आग उत्पन्न से बचा सके. हम देखते हैं कि दीपावली के समय ज़्यादातर लोग इलेक्ट्रिक लाइट्स और डेकोरेशंस और जैसे कि पटाखे खेलते हैं, तो वो हमेशा इस चीज़ों से ध्यान रखिए ताकि वो घर में आग उत्पन्न होने से बचा सके. और हम देखते हैं कि पिछले साल में हम लोगों ने इस दीपावली के समय ऐसे चीज़ों को नहीं देखा कि जहाँ पर घर में आग उत्पन्न हुई थी, ताकि आग दीपावली के बाद शुरू हुए थे. तो हम वही लोगों से सलाह देना चाहते हैं कि वो हर समय ध्यान रखिए और अपन घर में आग उत्पन्न होने से बचा सके.
Thank you, Ritesh ji. And just one last question. National Fire Authority's surveillance operations during Diwali weekend.
Yeah, we have our own plans. So during the Diwali, during the peak of celebrations and the time allowed for playing with firecrackers, our teams will be moving around and just observing. Yeah, they'll be on the road scanning the things and just be closer to the members of the community so that if something happens, we at least can be there below that required time.
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Connor. श्रोताओं, आज हमारे मेहमान थे आइना में नेशनल फायर अथॉरिटी के सीईओ जनाब जॉन ओकॉनर साहब और असिस्टेंट मीडिया असिस्टेंट रितेश कुमार जी नेशनल फायर अथॉरिटी से. ये दो मेहमान आज हमारे साथ थे. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor, for your time, and thank you, Ritesh ji. And See you next time.
Thank
Yes.
you, Vinaji, for inviting us. I would like to take this time to wish all members of the community happy and please take care and be more vigilant so that we can have a fire-free Diwali day.
थैंक यू। श्रोताओं, आईना का ये एपिसोड यहीं पर समाप्त होता है। अपने साथी वीना भटनागर को इजाज़त दीजिएगा। जाते जाते आई विश यू ऑल अ वेरी वेरी हैप्पी, प्रॉस्परस एंड अ वेरी सेफ दिवाली। थैंक यू।